finally see.
The devouring mother archetype receives validation for
home.
her sacrifice. Beautiful.
Lost everything. You suffered so much. We are a family because of you.
I asked my Pedro for help.
He sent me you.
Guys. Oh, Disney. This is the true breaking point, not just for the family, but for Alma herself. Mirabel, after risking everything, fails. She can't save the miracle. Casita is gone. Everyone's powers are gone. And she stands there, exhausted, broken, and staring at the very person she just stood up to. Her abuela, being equally exhausted and equally broken. And then she does what Bruno did. She leaves. Because when you've spent your entire life fighting to belong, to be enough, to be seen, and you finally stand your ground only for everything to still fall apart, what else is there to do, honestly? She's repeating the cycle, but this time, Abuela goes after her, breaking it. And you see, when she finds her, Mirabel apologizes because despite everything, despite how unfair this has been, despite how much she's been overlooked, right? She never wanted to hurt anyone. She just wanted to matter. It's not really a crime now, is it? And that's when we finally see Alma's story through her own eyes. She was never supposed to become this, you see. She was supposed to be happy in love, hopeful. She was supposed to grow old with Pedro, raise their children together, have a future built on love and happiness. But she never got to become that person. She never got to live that life because it was stolen from her, much like Pedro was stolen from her. Now, Pedro didn't do anything to deserve such a terrible fate. Alma didn't deserve to live with that pain, and her children didn't deserve to grow up without a father. And this is what grief does, you see. In the face of such deep, unfair loss, we armor up, we build walls, we vow that we will never let pain like that touch us ever again. Unrealistic, of course, but that was Alma's first defense mechanism. Avoidance is about suppression. Integration is about preparing for next time we'll face that pain again. Alma has stopped raising a family at some point, and she started raising soldiers, an army, if you will, of powerful, strategic, disciplined individuals. That's why control becomes so important to her, because when you've lost everything before, you will do anything to make sure it never happens again. And that's how you get a devouring mother archetype. Not from a place of malice, but from a place of protection gone too far. Now, grief also does something else. It makes us afraid of change, because change means risk, and risk means the possibility of loss. And that's why Alma lost sight of everything. She forgot who the miracle was for, what it was meant to protect, what kind of life it was supposed to build. She became so focused on maintaining the miracle that she forgot to enjoy it. And for the first time, she sees it, she apologizes, she takes back every ounce of blame she placed on Mirabel and every mean thing she said. She admits that the family is broken because of her rigidity, her control, her fear of letting go. And this is where her perfectionism shows itself. Instead of framing it as I made mistakes, she frames it as we're broken because of me. And that is textbook devouring mother psychology, not just demanding perfection from others, but from herself more than anyone else. And this brings us back to the question from earlier. Was the blame game between her and Mirabel healthy? Once again, blame isn't healthy, but the confrontation was necessary, because without it, they wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be at this moment acknowledging the tension, finally seeing it for what it is and working to fix it. And Alma had to be the one to take the first step. She is the adult, the matriarch, the one who gives approval and validation. But that role comes with responsibility, not just to lead, but to listen, not just to protect, but to accept, to see individual progress as necessary, not selfish. And most of all, to be humble, to understand that if she never apologizes, if she never models emotional accountability, then future generations won't either. So she apologizes, and it's beautiful and it's needed. But here's the irony. This is the moment Mirabel has been waiting for her entire life, to be seen, acknowledged, treated fairly and equally by her grandmother specifically. And yet, now that she finally has it, her response isn't just relief, it's care. Alma opens up, and instead of basking seeking in her validation, Mirabel contains her, supports her immediately because she finally sees her abuela fully, not as a force of control, but as a grieving woman who has been carrying pain alone for too long. And that's Mirabel's real gift, guys. She is a catalyst for cognitive reframing. She helps Luisa see that she's more than her strength. She helps Isabella see that she's more than perfection. She helps Bruno in seeing he's more than his prophecies. And now she helps Alma see that she's more than her mistakes and her grief. Because Alma isn't just the person who broke the family. That's unfair. And Mirabel, of all people, understands unfairness. She helps Alma reclaim her own story, reminding her that everything they have, everything they are, exists because of her pain and sacrifice. This time, this acknowledgement comes out of love, not out of obligation. And in this moment, Mirabel helps Alma individuate. She helps her let go of the devouring mother energy and embrace the nurturing mother. Because understanding is the antidote to resentment. And when Alma looks at Mirabel, she finally sees Pedro. She sees what he has died for. He lives in all of them equally, and what better way to honor him than to live with joy rather than fear, to embrace each other rather than control. Because the miracle was never the candle, it was them all along.
She didn't do this!
Oh, Bruno.
I gave her a vision! I don't care what you think of me, but if you're too stubborn to
Oh. Oh, Brunito, welcome back, baby.
Like I missed something important.
See, I see this moment as a continuation of Mirabel's true gift, facilitating individuation, and Bruno is perhaps her most powerful case yet. Bruno rushes in, ready to take the blame, because that's who he's been, always. Scapegoating himself is second nature at this point. It's his default way of keeping the family intact. He assumes the role without hesitation because that's what black sheep do. They absorb the chaos so no one else has to. But here's the key difference. This time, it's not about trying to stay hidden or be accepted. This isn't about him. It's about Mirabel. And that's where we see how much she has shifted the family dynamic. Bruno, for the first time, isn't acting out of fear, but out of love. And then something even bigger happens. Alma interrupts him. She doesn't let him take the blame. Instead, she hugs him. And in that moment, he's fully reintegrated into the family. Not as the problem, not as the exiled person, but as Bruno. This is the culmination of what Mirabel has been doing all along, helping her family shed the rigid roles they've been forced into. And together, they return home, not to the same house, but to build a new one. Because true integration isn't about going back to how things were. It's about building something stronger together. In a way, Casita had to crumble. It's a representation of the collective ego restructuring, of how things are changing, and the old Casita didn't have the right space for everyone.
Home sweet home. I like the new foundation.
Yeah.
It isn't perfect,
But it's
either way,
inclusive.
that's true.
Now, the last song, All of You, is an absolute masterpiece and a perfect integration song. It ties together every theme of the movie beautifully, showing us that the miracle was never about supernatural powers, it was about individuality. Inner power is a superpower. Each member of the family finally understands that their worth isn't tied to their role or their abilities, but to the simple fact that they exist. That is the real Encanto, the magic of being alive, of being surrounded by love, of being seen. Bruno also gets his moment, which is so important, not just because, he gets to apologize, but because his visions were never meant to be omens of doom. They were acts of love, just poorly communicated, right? And even more poorly received. He wasn't trying to be a bringer of bad news, he was just trying to help. And then we get the funny but profound moment when the kids ask, wait, are we talking about Bruno now? That right there is a beautiful commentary on how quickly children can adapt to change when it's met with love and acceptance, by the way. What once was forbidden is now normal, and their little minds seem to adjust effortlessly. Much easier than some adults, that's for sure. Now, here's something really powerful. They don't have their gifts anymore, and yet nothing has been lost, you see. In fact, they've gained something. They now see that the gifts aren't about magic, they're about gratitude. The family they have, that's a gift. The love and support they share, that's a gift. The ability to help each other without powers, that's a gift. And then there's Mirabel, the one who never had a gift, and therefore the one who was already prepared for this. Without magic, the Madrigals are lost for a moment, but Mirabel steps up. She was never relying on powers to give her purpose, so now she becomes the one to guide them forward. Which brings us to a bigger lesson here. When the right conditions are created, everyone has the chance to shine. This is where the Lion King 2's Nuka character serves as the perfect counterexample for that, because when someone isn't given space to belong, when they don't feel valued or seen, it destroys them. Nuka, for instance, was desperate for approval. He wanted to be seen, to be valued, to prove his worth, but he lived in a system that told him he was lesser, unworthy, disposable, and what happened? Well, that pain consumed him. Mirabel could have ended up exactly like Nuka. She should have, actually. She was ignored, undervalued, seen as a burden. But unlike Nuka, she had the resilience and self-awareness to keep searching for belonging, to fight for the truth, to push for change and take action. And once the conditions of her family changed, once they finally saw her, she was able to lead them into something even greater than what they had before. Because belonging isn't about proving yourself, it's about being accepted for who you already are.
We need a doorknob.
We made this one for you.
Guys, if you're gonna make me cry again, I swear to God.
We see how bright you burn.
You're the real gift, kid. Let us in. Abre los ojos.
My ojos are open.
I see me.
You know, kindness and empathy and making space for everyone, and, you know, switching from survival to thriving. I'm sorry. Oh my God, are you telling me? And we have a new picture that is not perfect, is moved, but has everyone in it. Oh man, this was a ride. If you have cried as much as I cried, I'm very sorry for you, and make sure to drink some water, okay? Wow, this is a full circle moment in every way possible. Mirabel is essentially given a second chance at belonging, but this time on her own terms. When she was younger, the door ceremony defined her as the one without a gift, marking her as different, less than, excluded from the family's magical legacy, and now the entire family gathers around her once more, this time recognizing her, validating her, giving her the final piece to complete the new Madrigal home. Okay, well, this is peak healing. She gets to rewrite the narrative of that original rejection, and now, instead of being left outside looking in, she is the one who brings the house back to life. This is a very important aspect of trauma processing and healing, yeah. In order to heal that trauma, very often we need to experience it again, and this time give it a different ending. This time make different choices. That's why many of you might replay your traumas or even embarrassing moments on repeat, why you might have flashbacks, or why you might obsess over past mistakes and ruminate over them. Because your mind will relentlessly try to push you to reframe those moments. Your mind feeds you those memories not because it hates you, okay, but because it desperately needs you to look that way and at least try to imagine a different way it could have gone. Without blame, without judgment, just imagine a different scenario. Maybe one in which you're less scared, maybe one in which you're less self-conscious, maybe one where there's someone there to protect you and change the outcome. Because ideally, this is what a healthy community does, right? It doesn't just use its members for their utility, it honors them as individuals and facilitates healing and integration. It sees them, respects them, builds them up, not just as parts of the whole, but as individuals. Now, let's talk about why Casita magically comes back the moment Mirabel puts the doorknob in place, because we need to at least acknowledge it. Casita represents the collective subconscious of the Madrigal, or the family's emotional and psychological state. And that state was breaking not because of Mirabel, but because of the family's suppression, fear, and pressure to conform. The magic faded because they lost sight of what actually made them strong: each other. Mirabel's journey wasn't about fixing the house, it was about fixing the foundation of the family itself. Once they accepted each other as individuals rather than as roles they had to play, the house, a reflection of their collective well-being, could be rebuilt. And Mirabel putting the doorknob in place, well, yeah, that's the moment of full integration. She belongs now, not because she earned it, not because she changed, but because the family finally saw that she belonged all along. Casita reviving at that exact moment symbolizes what happens when a system, family, community, relationships romantic or otherwise, finally acknowledges and embraces its truth unapologetically. When shame is replaced with acceptance, when control is replaced with trust, when perfection is replaced with authenticity, that's when real magic happens. So, in the end, Encanto isn't really a story about magic, right? It's a story about healing. It's about breaking cycles and redefining what it means to belong. It's about how gifts, whether supernatural or personal, are meant to serve the individual first, and only then can they truly serve the collective, not the other way around. Mirabel, the giftless one, was actually the one with the most important role. She was the catalyst for individuality, healing, and transformation. She didn't just fix Casita, she changed the way her family functioned. She led them from a rigid system of role-based worth into a new, healthier foundation where everyone had space to exist outside of expectations. Bruno got to come home. Luisa got to let go of her burdens. Isabella got to be something other than perfect. And even Abuela got to reclaim the nurturing mother she was always meant to be. And let's be real, if you take nothing else from this movie, at least take this. If your family can't accept you as you are, go ahead and emotionally burn the house down. Figuratively, people, okay? But seriously, Encanto is a love letter to breaking free from generational trauma in a slightly different way than Turning Red is. The family doesn't end up rejecting the past, but they understand it, grieve it, and then choose to build something better. Now, if you made it this far, bless you, because this was a ride. And second, if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like and of course comment below your favorite Encanto moment or theory. And hey, as always, I didn't address everything that was to address, so make sure to ask your questions, and if enough questions gather, I might have to make another video to deep dive on the deep dive. Oh god, this is Inception, isn't it? Thank you so much for your support, for being here and allowing my creative juices to go somewhere constructive. And hey, while we're at it, let's start some drama in the comments, shall we? Who do you think had the hardest role in the family, and why is it 100% Bruno? Okay, let's discuss. Bye!